On the spot dice spin.
Roll with us because you know we got
WarRoomSports.com. Get that mobile app.
What up, basketball heads out there, and welcome to another edition of Court Vision, brought to you, of course, by War Room Sports in conjunction with the Sports Kings. This is the playoff edition. That long marathon of a season is finally over, and we're here to talk some playoff hoops. So, right before we get into it, I'm going to let everybody know who's at the round table this evening. We got Andy of Sports Kings. What's up, Andy?
Yo, shout out to everybody watching. It's been so long since we recorded a show that Devin has shaved the beard and regrown new facial hair. It's completely different.
Shaving is weak. We got Frank from Sports Kings. What up, Frank?
Nothing, man. I just want to say what I'm about to do on this show should be illegal. Shout out to you, Swaggy P.
You see that?
Yes.
And we got my man Jimmy from War Room Sports.
Yo, shout out to all the beautiful ladies watching this on their Chromecast.
No doubt. All right, so we're going to go Eastern Conference, then Western Conference. We're just going to go down the list of series, give a brief analysis if you have anything to say about the series. If you don't, don't say nothing. And then at the end of each one, we'll give predictions before we move on to the next series. So we're going to start in the Eastern Conference with that 1-8 matchup. The Atlanta Hawks going to face the Indiana Pacers. The Pacers did end up pulling out that number 1 seed. It got a little shaky at the end, but luckily for them,
looking shaky, baby.
Miami wasn't playing their best down the stretch either. So the Pacers held on and got that number 1 seed. But Frank wrote a piece about the Pacers recently, as did a lot of people because the struggle was real. What do you guys think? Like, can the Pacers turn it back on, or are they done, basically? I mean, I'm pretty sure nobody's going to predict them to lose in this first round, but let's talk about them overall before we talk about them versus Atlanta. What's up with the Pacers?
Yo, Jimmy stole my line because I was going to open up with, the Pacers are looking shaky, baby. Here's the story. Paul George, it's very possible that Paul George's first half of the season and his playoffs last year were just a hot streak that he was on. I mean, wow. Bill Simmons had a whole breakdown on Grantland of his hot streak and just this. It's also possible that what he's gone through in the second half of the season is just a slump. But, I mean, if you look at Paul George throughout his career up to this point, the anomaly is the first half of the season and the playoffs last year. The rest, what he's going through now, is more like what Paul George has been like as an NBA player. But the huge concern for me is Roy Hibbert because, this guy, more so than Paul George, last year in the playoffs, Roy Hibbert played out of his mind. Like, anybody that watched Roy Hibbert play basketball before last year in the playoffs and saw the guy in the playoffs, you're like, that's not Roy Hibbert. I don't know who the hell they put out on that basketball court, but
I think Roy Hibbert is more of the anomaly than Paul George. But
I agree with that. But yeah,
absolutely, because people say Roy Hibbert's struggling, but his season this year is pretty much his career averages.
Yeah, Roy Hibbert sucks.
Whoa! No, you guys are just completely turned on the page. Not that I haven't. Roy Hibbert sucks. Paul George is a fraud, except for this is what I'm hearing from you guys, right?
See,
I mean, he's not a fraud at the strip club.
What happens now, though, is that if Paul George can't play like a superstar, what happens is that now you got to rely on Lance Stevenson, who could absolutely score 50, and then the next game he's gonna have 12 turnovers.
-5. Yeah,
relying on Lance Stevenson reminds me of the Knicks relying on J.R. Smith. It just reminds me of that. Last year in the playoffs, J.R. Smith cost the Knicks, and I can very well see Lance Stevenson doing the same thing this year.
That's funny because I was about to say
Lance is a much better player than J.R. Smith. I'm just talking about from the standpoint where you got to rely on this guy for crucial baskets and crucial situations.
I agree with you.
I
just wanted to clarify.
I was about to say, that sounds familiar. I was reading something like that the other day, but it was Frank's article. My bad. But no, one thing you just said I think is the key when it comes to Paul George. You said, playing like a superstar. I don't necessarily think his play last year in the playoffs and in the beginning of the season was an anomaly, but I'm starting to think that Paul George mentally may not totally be ready for superstardom yet. I mean, we've seen the things, we've made light of what he's gone through off the court, but I'm really starting to think that, that negative attention is really starting to affect his game because, I mean, we know that the talent is there. Like I said to you guys a couple minutes ago, I mean, if anything was an anomaly, it was the play of Roy Hibbert because I really couldn't believe my eyes when he was playing as well as he was playing. And now I'm like, okay, this is kind of the Roy Hibbert that I expected. But, yeah, so talking about them versus Atlanta, like I don't expect any setbacks, even though they kind of backed into the playoffs. I don't expect any setbacks against Atlanta. Personally, I have I have the Pacers winning this series in 5, getting rid of Atlanta fairly quickly and, working towards getting that moxie back that they had earlier in the season. So what do you guys?
Like Atlanta ain't in America. But here's the thing, though. You made a point that he made. Basically, what you said is Paul George he ain't about this life because he's not ready to deal with all the off-the-court distractions. And I think a lot of times people forget that these guys are human beings. They have lives. And they have to deal with all kinds of craziness. I mean, we saw what happened to LeBron in the finals when it was rumored that one of his teammates was porking his mom. He kind of went into a shell and they lost the series. But these guys have to deal with all kinds of distractions. And as we saw the distractions happen this year, his game kept getting worse and worse. But at the end of the day, they are playing Atlanta. I think they might go 6 games just because they're playing that bad. I wouldn't be surprised if Atlanta won the first game. And by the way, I blame all this on Evan Turner. That's what I'm blaming. It's all Evan Turner's fault.
If they win the first game, the Pacers are winning 4 straight.
Yeah, I got to go in 5. It could go 6. It very well could go 6. I think there'll be a couple tough games that the Pacers will have to kind of, eke out in the last couple minutes. But, I think Atlanta will win comfortably. But I don't – or Indiana will win comfortably. Yeah, I think Indiana will win comfortably.
We all keep slipping. We probably don't believe it.
But at the same time, I don't think they're going to get right against Atlanta to the point where I'm going to feel confident in them at all.
It's all Evan Turner's fault.
It's probably a decent test, though, because like you said, there's going to be a couple games where they're going to have to eke it out because they do. I mean, Paul Millsap, Jeff Teague are both nice players. I think it's going to be 5-2. Let me just get that out in the open. I think Atlanta's going to accidentally win a game. We know they didn't even want to be here in the
first place. They accidentally got into the playoffs, right?
They accidentally got into the playoffs. They accidentally kept Josh Smith around that long. They accidentally are going to win a playoff game here. But yeah, I'm concerned about Indiana too. And I was saying 3 weeks ago that I wasn't. But yeah, I'm a little worried now. Paul George is 23 years old. We talked about the mental thing, Dev. I think you're the one that said that. I mean, it rings true. But 23, isn't 19. He's got to pull this together and. T-Pain, I'm in love with the strippers.
Stop squirting strippers.
He's got to be focused, man. This is, playoff basketball. He knew he was on a playoff caliber team, a championship caliber team, perhaps, and I don't know. He's got to get back with it.
Paul George getting to the point where he might need like a personal bodyguard, like Des Bryant has, or something like that.
Babysitter.
I just want to say on the record, there's nothing wrong with making love to strippers. But you gotta stay focused, B. You gotta stay focused, man. You have
something wrong with making love to him without condoms.
Yeah. No comment.
Andy.
I understand as a man why he did it.
When you guys were running off the list of what Atlanta did by accident, they accidentally maxed out Joe Johnson. Put that in their column as well.
They accidentally managed to trade that contract too. Amazing.
Yeah, they finally got it off. But all right. So Jimmy, did you have them winning in 5 as well?
I said 6. I said 6 just because if they win 5, they win in 5. But I think Atlanta might win 2 games because it's Evan Turner's fault.
Yeah, Evan Turner. All right. So that's the.
It all went downhill when they got Evan Turner, though. Think about that.
It did. What is he doing in there?
I don't know.
And Bynum. Don't forget Bynum. Don't forget the role Bynum played.
Bynum does.
You got YOLO Bynum.
# blame Bynum.
No doubt. All right, so let's go to that 2-7 matchup in the East. That's the 2-time defending champion Miami Heat going to take on the Charlotte Bobcats. Michael Jordan's team in the playoff for the 2nd time under his reign. Okay. How long is this one going to last?
The same amount of time as the last one lasted.
I have this series going 5 games. I say Charlotte will catch Miami on one of those days when they don't feel like it, or one of those days that Dwayne Wade doesn't feel like it, or something like that. And Al Jefferson might big boy him to a win. But other than that, I'm done talking about this series. I mean,
I give you that. One of those days when Dwayne Wade's capris chafed the upper part of his calf and he couldn't play. I mean, they might. I don't know. I still have it in 4. I feel like the last time Charlotte ran into my magic, it was in 4 games. But yeah, this franchise is cursed. I mean, playoffs or not. That's all I got to say.
Miami feels so confident about this series, they might give Wade a DNP rest. Like,
They might give
we don't even need D-Wade.
But they might give the team a DNP and give them a game.
But to be honest, I mean, I think it goes 5. I think Charlotte poses some problems for Miami. I don't think they're going to be able to handle Al Jefferson at all. I think Al Jefferson's going to go crazy this series in all losing efforts. But the Bobcats don't turn the ball over. They're very good. They're a good defensive team. And like I said, they take care of the ball. So I think that'll be a problem for Miami because they really feed off of turnovers. But at the end of the day, I don't think it's going to be too competitive. I got Miami in 5, but I'm hoping for a 38-22 Al Jefferson game followed by a Kemba Walker step back game winner. Just one. That's all.
But is LeBron going to get 60 in that game, or?
Yeah, that is the team that gives up 60 to small forwards.
That's Charlotte's goal. Hold LeBron to 59. You'll be good.
All right, listen.
Y'all forgetting about Greg Oden though. He gonna limp his ass out there like Willis Reed, and it's over.
All I gotta say about this is warroomsports.com. You can go get the apparel at warroomsports.com. Support the movement. I got Miami winning this series in 3 games if possible. Like, they don't even want to play the 4th game. But if they make them play the 4th game, I have a complete sweep. Yo, they're not gonna win a game, yo.
No.
Miami's going to push that button that they haven't pushed all season just to get them out the way and get some rest.
Yeah, he's probably right.
I agree.
They're going to be on South Beach by next weekend.
It's really not much to say about this series. I mean,
that's all I got.
I think if we go on any longer, we're overanalyzing it and we're just trying to force something that's not there. Let's move on to a series that may turn out to be very interesting, that 3-6 matchup. Between the Toronto Raptors and the Brooklyn Nets. I think it's like generally believed out there that Brooklyn basically, threw the end of the season so they could get this matchup. That's what I've been hearing.
They wouldn't have done that.
That's one thing. Toronto is kind of tough though. So
no, they totally did that.
I know, but you might not. That could backfire in your face because Toronto is not. Well, I guess it's the lesser. You don't want those other teams.
I'll start as a Net fan. To be honest, I don't think it was much about getting Toronto as much as it was not getting Chicago, because Chicago is probably the worst matchup for the Nets because they're going to bully Pierce down low, and they're going to kill him on the boards and the defense, and plus they have that whole thing on them from last year where they just went into their building in Game 7 and demolished them. I got the Nets winning in 6. They have to win in 6 because I don't trust them on the road into Game 7 in Toronto. I think Toronto wins a Game 7 at Toronto. So I think the Nets take care of it in 6. I think they're veteran savvy and just, along with Toronto's inexperience in the playoffs will be the difference. But these games are going to be extremely close. Either team can win. Just as a Net fan that watched all 4 games, like every game versus Toronto was like I was like Lamar Odom, like looking for a fix, just scratching, like I was just so nerve-wracking, Every game came down to the last possession, and
stay away from the crack.
I can see it going either way, but I think the Nets take it in 6.
And Lamar Odom's going to be in Toronto at those games with his boy Tom Ford. So yeah, I think I agree with Frank. 6 games. I think. Everything he said kind of rings true to me. I mean, the experience is too much. I think Kyle Lowry's going to have a big series. I like his matchup. He's Mike Lowry, cousin Kyle. He's a beast. He's a bulldog. He likes to get into the body of the defenders and get those layups.
Philly, baby.
He likes to draw the contact. Villanova. I don't really have a lot more to say than Frank. I just kind of echo what he went with. I think that the Nets take it in 6. That experience is too much. And no, they did not want Chicago.
we must be in a cave because the echoes are just keep ringing. Because I agree with everything Frank said on this one. I have them, the Nets winning in 6 as well, but I do think, like he said, they're going to be 6 tough, grinded out games, and it's one of those series that can end up going either way. But I do think that the veteran savvy of the Nets, with the former Celtics in it for one last hurrah, I think they'll take care of business in this one. It's not Toronto's time yet.
For me, first off, I want to say shout out to Andrew Wiggins. I read a story today that said he's going to hold out whoever drafts him until they trade him to Toronto. So now we got athletes saying what team they want to play for before they even get in the league.
They shouldn't even draft him now.
Andrew Wiggins about to change the game. Anyway, with that being said,
coward.
This shit, damn.
I'm mad now because I wanted him on the Sixers. Coward.
He said he ain't going to Milwaukee, Philly, or none of that, He want to play for the Raptors, and if they don't want to trade him, he just ain't going to play.
I'll see you in Orlando, Andrew Wiggins.
With that being said, listen, this series, the Nets could possibly get ran out the building with their old ass, or the Nets could win this series. To me, this is one of the tougher series to call in the entire playoffs. It is a pick 'em, and I'm going to go with Toronto just because you guys all picked them. I mean, that's literally my logic. I honestly think Brooklyn will win the series, but since you all picked Brooklyn, I'm picking Toronto, man. Word to Drake.
So now he's got it covered. So now next week or next time he can be like, well, I said I was going with the Nets, but I picked Toronto. So now I win either way.
You guys do realize that Toronto winning this series would probably be the highlight of a Toronto Raptors team ever. Like they had Drake was on Grantland the other day with Bill Simmons and Jalen Rose, and he said, "You know what the highlight is for Toronto Raptors? It was Vince Carter winning the dunk contest. Like that's literally their mecca of basketball right now."
I got my eyes on.
I think on the court, their highlight was probably losing to the Sixers in 2001. Yeah, because Vince and AI was dueling like that.
That's crazy, right? Vince got his college degree, dropped 50, and got his ass booted from the playoffs.
Well, no, that's the thing. He dropped 50 and then went and got his college degree.
Yeah, I remember that big controversy about him walking.
Yeah, people didn't want my man to get his diploma that day. They wanted him in Philly, focused for Game 7.
We're going to get Jimmy a whole 30-minute slot so he can sing.
I'm thinking the Raptors. There's really nothing else to say about this series. You guys got Brooklyn. I got the Raptors. Dev, what's the next series?
All right, let's go to the 4-5 matchup, Chicago and Washington. This one's interesting to me. This is another one that I think, even though I'm going to let you guys know who's going to win it, I think it's going to be a tough series. And I'm going to go with Chicago in 6. But I'm here in the Washington area, so I get to watch this team probably more than I actually need to. And I don't think they're going to go out without a fight. Chicago is that team. They're lacking superstars. Tom Thibodeau keeps those guys in line, playing defense, buying into the team concept, with Joakim Noah leading the way as the team superstar. And you guys know how I feel about that. But I think in the end, even though they're going to have a whole lot of trouble scoring, I think that grinded out style is going to be a little too much for Washington in the end. But this is another series where I wouldn't be surprised if Washington ended up winning it, but I got Chicago in 6.
Okay.
Too tough. They nailed it.
Andy, what you got, Andy?
You passed him the buck.
Gortat balling though.
I got to go with the Bulls too, as much as I don't want to. I'm really kind of still upset at the fact that the Nets ruined this Toronto-Washington series that I wanted to see so badly.
That's true.
Yeah, I think.
A nice series.
Yeah, I mean, their inexperience would have kind of balanced each other out, this is again another case of a team that's inexperienced against a team that's experienced. I mean, John Wall's had a great season. Bradley Beal's coming into his own. I mean, they do have Gortat and Nene. I mean, I guess that kind of will counter the big guys in Chicago a little bit, but Gortat, to me, with the way Joakim Noah's been playing like that point center position, I think Gortat's going to be confused. I don't know if he has anything to do with that. If any center in the league is going to be super confused with that, to me, it's Marcin Gortat. But yeah, I think.
Wait, Andy, real quick. When Joakim Noah was coming out of Florida, did you think he was going to invent something new in the NBA? Did you think point center would ever come out of your mouth?
I didn't. No, I didn't. And I
still think he was going to stick in the league.
I still don't even really care about Joakim Noah that much, but
the hate is real, yeah.
He can pass the ball. I mean, that's a great skill. I mean, you've seen some guys be able to do it not quite as well as him. I mean, Vlade Divac was a great passer, but like Noah's at the top of the key with the ball. I would never think a center should be at the 3-point line with the ball.
Yeah, stuff an ass bum.
But he's good at it. And no, your question coming out of Florida, I never would have thought I would have saw anything like that. But
he reinvented the game. Man.
It's Chicago.
Revolutionary, baby.
He going to the hall just off changing the game.
Man, listen, shout out to the Gap Tooth Wonder, a.k.a. Mr. Yeah, I'm beating you with my hair in a bun, a.k.a. the triple-double and hustle man, Joakim Noah.
We were talking about Chris Rock.
The hate is real. I got the Bulls in 5. I think it's going to be one of those series where Bulls hold home court, win the first 2, and then steal 1 in Washington with Washington up 6 with a minute to go, and somehow the Bulls win it, and then Washington's confidence is shot, and the Bulls come in and win it. Joakim Noah, best center in the league right now. The hate is real.
Yo.
You can go.
Frank, I'm going the same way. I got Chicago. Matter of fact, I'm picking Thibodeau in 5 games, yo.
Thibodeau.
That's the difference right there, yo. Because I've never seen a team in my life, and that includes maybe the Bad Boy Pistons, and I'm probably only overrating them right now because I just watched a documentary. In terms of the way the Bulls play defense and the effort they give the entire game, yo, I've seen them in games where they're down by 20 in the fourth quarter and they're still hustling, playing hard. So I think they're gonna win. They're gonna win in 5, and they're gonna win all 4 games by a score of 7-0.
It's definitely a difference though, Jim, because the Bad Boys, they beat the trash out of you. And the Bulls aren't even allowed to do that. So,
aside from Pop,
last year though too.
Aside from Pop, I've never seen a bunch of grown men legitimately scared of their coach. I think the Bulls are scared that Tom Thibodeau is gonna just start beating the hell out of him in the locker room.
And that's probably why he's not gonna last long. He's a great coach, but
he'll probably burn out. You're right.
Yeah,
he'll probably burn out with the players.
He's gonna burn out and win a chip somewhere else.
Probably.
Showtime Lakers hated Pat Riley after he became cocky. After he got his mojo.
It's like Thibodeau has their families hostage, in the back room. If you don't hold them under 80, it's going down.
Rock-a-bye, baby. All right, so we all have Chicago winning that series. I think the only thing we disagreed on so far is Jimmy picking the Raptors. I mean, this is the Eastern Conference. These series aren't really that hard to pick. We will see if anything changes.
I'm picking the Raptors because Paul Pierce came out in that wheelchair that time, and I've never forgiven him for that.
The worst look I've ever seen in my life.
Paul Pierce was wilding that night. Come on, man. How do you go out in the wheelchair and then run back on the court?
Come back and play,
he looked like he got shot. And then he was jogging down the tunnel.
He looked like Drake. He looked like Drake and Degrassi.
Hey,
Jimmy, what's up?
Shout out to Mike Cassidy. All right, let's go over to the Western Conference, man. Let's go to this 1-8 matchup in Texas, San Antonio versus Dallas. We all know Dallas is a tough team, but do you guys see Dallas giving any resistance to San Antonio in this series?
Only if
get blown out.
Monte Ellis can average over 7 assists per game. If Monte Ellis can average 7 assists per game, they can beat anybody in the league. The problem is Monte Ellis will never average 7 assists per game because he is the Call of Duty version of a guard. He does nothing but shoot. He changes guns, and he shoots some more.
It's funny that you mentioned that, Jim, because
that's the best thing I've ever heard in my life.
Remember, Akil and I, we were actually at a Mavericks game down in Dallas a few weeks ago, and Dallas won this game. I mean, they were playing against Boston, and it did go down to the wire. But the biggest thing that I took away from the game is how comical it was watching Monte Ellis and Vince Carter trying to play defense, or not trying to play defense. It was because we make fun of these dudes all the time, but to actually see it up close and personal, and you can like see their facial expressions and the effort that they're not giving. It was crazy, and they're not going to get away with that in a series like this. I have. Let me see. I'm looking at my sheet. I forgot how many games I had. I had Dallas winning 2. I don't know how, but I think Dallas will win.
Dirk power.
I think Dallas will win 2 games and take it 6, but I think it'll be the type of 6-game series where San Antonio really never feels threatened. You know.
Yo, by the way, Dev, if it takes you to go down to the wire against the Celtics, you should get a loss anyway.
And Rondo wasn't playing that night.
Yeah, that's definitely a loss.
Yeah. And the Mavericks were at full strength, and it was the Juan Blair night. My program had.
Come on, guys.
I had Blair screaming with his mouth wide open.
Oh, come on,
guys. I had the Spurs in 5, but I might pick them in 4 just for the fact that the Mavs had DeJuan Blair night at their arena with a straight face.
You lose a whole game for that.
Come on, guys.
No, I got the Spurs in 5. Yo, the Spurs are like a robot. They're like Ivan Drago in Rocky. Like
if he dies, he dies.
He dies. That's it. Like they're just robotic. They don't mess around.
I must break you.
Exactly. They will break. They will break the Mavericks quickly. I got them in 5. I think Dallas wins 1 at home. Probably the first game. Probably game 3 at home. I think they'll pull that out with the home crowd behind them, but not much more than that.
And Mark Cuban will be hyped too. I got Dallas San Antonio in 5. That was the beer speaking. Yeah, they're too tough. I don't even have anything to say. San Antonio is crazy. We were just talking about Thibs a minute ago. You know, taking players' families hostage. I think Greg Popovich taught him that.
Yeah, that's the mentor. That's the case.
It's like it's out of control. Yep, 5.
I was looking around to see if I had my DeJuan Blair program in here somewhere.
I'm gonna be very brief with this. I got the Spurs in 5. That's all I gotta say.
I was about to get up and go get it, but I remembered that I was moderating.
I thought Dev was going to say he was looking around for his family with all this talk of families being coaches.
They're not in here. They're not in here. All right, so everybody got the Spurs on that one. This one, I don't know how interesting this is to you guys, but this 2-7 matchup, OKC and Memphis, this to me spells a little bit of trouble for OKC. I think Memphis matches up with the Thunder very well, and you know we've seen it in the series before. I have OKC winning in 7, and even though you know I think the Thunder are one of the front runners to have a chance to make a run to the finals, I think this is the worst first round matchup that they could have gotten, and you know, this will be the type of thing where, you know, these guys were title contenders and they were bust because they went out in the first round. But I just think they got they picked the short straw on this one. And I would not be surprised if Memphis could beat them. I mean, Kevin Durant is playing out of his mind right now. So of course he's going to do everything he can do to prevent that. But just remember my fears, fellas.
Yo, Dev, not only do I completely agree with you, but I got the Grizzlies. I got the Grizzlies in 7. I agree with everything you said. It's not disrespectful.
I'm afraid. I'm scared.
I'm gonna make the perfect analogy for you. Like OKC right now, they're UConn in this year's NCAA tournament, and the Grizzlies are St. Joseph's. Like they're gonna take them to overtime, and if the Thunder win, they might go all the way. But they might lose this very first round, this very first OT game in the NCAA tournament, and then just be gone. Because UConn almost lost in the first round, then they went on to win the whole thing. I think OKC could very easily do the same exact thing if they get past Memphis. Because I like their path past Memphis. But Memphis is a 4 seed in a 7 seed spot. Like with Marc Gasol the whole season, they would have been the 4 seed. With no doubt in my mind.
I don't agree with that either.
I think they would easily.
I don't think they're better than Houston or Golden State, or Portland even.
You really want to play that.
I mean, I think you know I won't call what you're saying off the wall because I do think Memphis is a good team. I do want to put that out there, but I really like the way OKC can match up with Memphis when OKC's on defense. I think. Obviously, Memphis, it's actually not even a thought, it's a fact. Memphis really needs to to score inside with Gasol and especially Randolph.
And
I think with Ibaka. And one thing
Randolph.
we all dog Perkins, but one thing Perkins knows how to do is play defense.
Yo, Perkins cannot handle Gasol.
I'm not saying he's gonna stop. Gasol scores like 8 points a game. I'm not really worried about him going off for 30. I'm saying the body's in there. Perkins is gonna put a body. Ibaka's gonna put a body. He's gonna block shots. The problem I'm having with Memphis is defensively they're great, but is Tony Allen guarding Durant? I mean, because he gives up 6 inches. Yeah, 6 inches. And Durant scored more than 30 points 3 of the 4 times they played this season. And
Durant scores 30 every game. You can't throw that shit. That's not
stopping you, man. But you're talking about Tony Allen, who's 6'4", against Durant, who's like 7'8". We're just going to say 7'8", because you're throwing out outlandish stuff, so am I. and I feel like Mike Conley's a decent defender at the point guard position too, but Westbrook is just explosive. I just don't like it. I think it's going to go 6 games. But I think OKC wins.
See, the thing before anybody else goes, the thing that really concerns me, though, is that Memphis has a great defense, and if OKC has one fatal flaw, is that their late-game offense is completely terrible because it becomes Kevin Durant ISOs for 20 seconds and then chucks it up, or he passes it to Westbrook for 5 seconds left.
And Memphis
they do not run a play in the last minute of the game. They do not run any plays.
Memphis has no go-to scorer with the ball in their hand. They have no guy who can put the ball in his hand and go score buckets.
This is true. That's what they're missing. Hey,
Mike
listen,
Conley would
let me go next because I'm gonna echo Andy. I have OKC in 6. I don't think this is going to be a problem for him. I think Russell Westbrook is going to destroy B. Austin's homie. He's going to destroy him, and I think
Mike
that
Conley.
OKC. Mike Conley is B. Austin's homie. But I think Russell Westbrook is going to destroy him. And Kevin Durant is on a mission this year. He told y'all, I don't want to be number 2 no more, and now he's out here showing you that he doesn't want to be number 2 no more.
He the number 2 seed in the playoffs. If we're Jimmy and Andy, if we're talking about what's going to happen on the perimeter, I agree with you guys 100%. I just think down low it's going to be a different story. I don't have respect for Perkins like a lot of other people do.
I just think.
I don't have respect for Perkins either, but
I think Perkins is a hack who got a championship on a very good team and got a reputation that he can't live up to.
That may be true. And
get his ass bust by somebody.
The only explanation for Kendrick Perkins still starting in the NBA is that he's got the drop on somebody in the OKC front office. That's all I could come up with. That's the only explanation I have.
Here's my thing.
And he's not even really tough.
As good as Memphis is down low, pause. The fact of the matter is they're playing in the wrong generation because that doesn't even matter in this NBA. Through all the rule changes and the way the game is played, having big guys that play with their back to the basket or even short face, that doesn't even matter in this league.
Not even just that, though. I'm just talking about the matchup problems that they're going to present. Even on the offensive end, what the hell is Perkins and Ibaka going to do with Zebo and
I'm worried about
Gasol decides he wants to.
They're going to double and they're going to force them to shoot. They don't have the perimeter arsenal to just say, "Hey, you have to respect us."
Now, the thing is that Dev brings up a good point because you can't have Perkins on the court for so long because on the offensive end you're playing 4-on-5 against a great defensive team, and that becomes a problem. It's the same problem the Nets had last year when they had Reggie Evans out there.
They're gonna force Perkins onto the court with their size, but
right.
Now, and this is remember, Jimmy, this is what I said about Memphis last year when we all thought they were title contenders. Last year I thought they needed that Rudy Gay type of player. They got rid of him in the middle of the season. I thought they needed Rudy Gay because when it all broke down, Memphis didn't really have anybody that could create their own shot. So ultimately that was their downfall. And I don't
Rudy Gay, not named Rudy Gay.
Yeah, exactly. But Tayshaun Prince is not that dude. But like I said, I don't think they're gonna beat OKC, but I see more problems being presented than you guys see.
Listen, my closing point in this to end the discussion, if you can get Mike Miller to play 82 games and you're not a team of destiny, I don't know what.
He got a dog, Mike Miller.
Kevin Durant. I think Kevin Durant is going to go ape shit, and they're going to kick their anuses, and that's all I got.
I mean, I can see that side too.
6 games, B. They're going to be after the first game when KD goes for 80, they're going to demoralize the squad, and it's over with.
Must I say it? I think OKC is a bit of a soft team. That's why I'm a little worried for them. I think they're a bit of a soft team. They're a little finesse. They like jump shots. So they like a lot of dribbling and stuff. But all right, so 2 people don't really see a problem in that series. 2 people do. Let's move on to that Golden State versus the LA Clippers at 3-6 matchup. This has been a series that a lot of people have been looking forward to all season. And even though I disrespect the Clippers every chance I get because I don't believe in them, they definitely need more people. I don't see them losing. I have them winning this series in 6 because Golden State is I never really thought they were the team that a lot of people thought they were. I mean, it could be interesting, but I don't know.
Awesome.
How you gonna come up in the middle of it? Come on, cuz.
You need more people, yo.
Yo, go away.
They don't got the ball off of here, man.
Oh, man. My thing is this, right? I'm not picking Golden State because they have like a light-skinned backcourt. Yo, shout out to the DeBarge family, but y'all not gonna win the playoffs.
I knew this was gonna be Jimmy's reason for not.
I'm just saying you can't pick a squad with that many light-skinned players, man. Yo, shout out to Golden State, shout out to Mark Jackson, man. But yo, nah, man. Shout out to the DeBarge family, but yo, y'all out of here, easy. You know what I'm saying?
I gotta go with the Clippers too. I'm gonna give them 6 because I think Golden State has enough firepower to win a couple games, but losing Andrew Bogut is such a big hit for that team. Defensively, they can't survive without their anchor. And the other thing I think people disrespect or underrate is the fact that if your shooters Curry and Clay, if they start to cool down a little bit, you can put the ball in the post. You can put it in the post and give it to Bogut when he's there, and he can get you a few buckets. He's no slouch. But without him there, they're screwed. I mean,
they invested money in Bogut and David Lee. The fact of the matter is, if these guys are on the court and healthy, that could pose a problem. But how often are they on the court or there?
Mm-hmm.
I don't have much to say about this series. Shout out to Andrew Bogut.
Shout out to Bogut.
All first team stealing money Hall of Fame because he just plays for like 3 games. People think he's good, and then all of a sudden he like breaks something or whatever. I got the Clippers in 6 as well. I think Steph Curry will shoot the lights out a couple games and probably win a couple games for him, but no real threat to the Clippers.
Yeah, I don't see a threat in this one either. And like I said, that's coming from somebody who doesn't believe in the Clippers, but Golden State, they're not the ones.
Closing point on that, too, is I think the games the Clippers do win, I think are going to be by a large margin. I think they're going to blow them out a few times.
Yeah.
I
think I agree with that, too. 18.6 a game off the bench. No defense.
Never passes.
How many shots?
I looked that up. Probably 18.
52.
All right. This one should, I don't know. I don't know if anybody's going to pick differently from each other, but this one should at least garner some good conversation. The 4-5 matchup, Houston versus Portland. What do you guys think about this one?
I know I may be in the minority, but I'm rolling with Portland, baby. Ooh. I know that James Harden is probably, and shout out to the Beard Gang and James Harden, he's probably the best 2-guard in the league.
In the regular season.
Dwight Howard is still soft.
Offensively.
In the regular season.
But that's also, y'all both brought up my point. He hasn't been a great playoff performer as of yet, and Dwight Howard is still Dwight Howard, and he's soft, Duke. And I'm rolling out with Portland, my man Aldridge. Yo, I'm a huge Aldridge fan. Anybody that can put up numbers and can't move or jump, I'm a fan of yours. So shout out to Aldridge. Yo, I'm taking Portland, and I'm gonna give them 7 games. I think it's going to be a good series.
Can this be Damian Lillard's? He's already had sort of a coming out party.
I know where you're going.
His superstar coming out party to justify that $100 million sneaker contract.
And none of us will see it because it's Western Conference and it's not coming on at 1 a.m. But for the people out west, you're gonna know about Damian Lillard, yo.
Yo, real talk.
Adidas knew what they were doing.
Real talk. In this series, like when I first saw it, I was like, all right, Houston in 5. Then I was like, Houston in 6. And then I was like, it could go 7. I think I'm going to flip-flop. I'm going to take Portland, too. I've been on Houston straight.
Like a fish on a Deck. What are you doing?
I've been like, I love Portland. I love Portland's team. I love what they do. And I think this is Portland's best matchup that they could have had in the first round because this is the only team. Houston's the only team that's not going to slow them down. Like each one of these teams just wants to go out, score 115 points, shoot like 53s, and I think it's just going to be an up and down game. And at the end of the day, I think Damian Lillard is a better clutch player than James Harden and Dwight Howard. So I think he'll. I
agree with that.
I think the two or three crucial games and crucial possessions, I think Damian Lillard will perform better than those two. So I got Portland.
Shout out to Nick Batum.
For me, it really boils down to like with the clutch factors. Like, is James Harden going to show us something this year, or is he just going to continue to be like that? I guess I would call him marginal superstar, because if you can't play in the playoffs, you can't perform. I mean, it's like prom night. If you can't perform on prom night, like what are you doing? and he doesn't play any defense, and he has to be clutch. Like, these things have to happen. That said, Patrick Beverley is going to be
go back to the January dances. You're not about that prom night life.
You got to go back.
Hype, dude.
It's ridiculous. But Patrick Beverley is going to have to be important if he can go, if he's going to be 100%. I mean, these things matter because Damian Lillard, and I agree with Frank, is probably the most clutch player proven by this point in this series. But the one thing that doesn't look good for Portland, and I love both of these teams this year, is the fact that, I mean, the series is 3-1 in favor of Houston, but Dwight Howard, he's soft Duke is what Jimmy just said, but he averages over 25 and over 13 rebounds per game against this Portland team this year. He's been a problem for them, which is weird because Portland with Fropez and LaMarcus Aldridge and even Nick Batum, they got a lot of long, guys who should be able to defend Howard, since Howard doesn't really have an orthodox offensive game, and they've struggled. So I feel like the star power of Harden and Howard is going to trumpet this series. I got him in 6. Houston beating Portland in 6.
Yo, shout out to Nick Batum, because for some odd reason they made you good on 2K. You must know somebody.
He was good as a rookie.
You must get points.
He was good as a rookie
in the jump.
Yeah, I think Nick Batum punched the guys that make the ratings right in the nuts, and then all of a sudden they were like, get out.
I mean, that's like back in the day on NBA Live, Jimmy, when Akil used to bust people's ass with Tyrone Nesby.
Yeah. No, that's like David Lee. David Lee, I think it was like 2K13.
Oh, yeah, he was glitching.
When he played for the Knicks.
Scott Pollard on the Pacers in like 2004 NBA Live. You could block like 20 shots a game with him.
Why?
Scott Pollard was about that, because he was about that prom night life.
Shut up. No.
Prom night. Stock hop now, because he can't go into prom yet.
Yeah, prom night performance is, that's you got to be clutch for that. And I do agree with everybody with, more big time clutch play being on the side of Portland. But I'm thinking that star power in Houston as well. Like, I think it's going to be a 7-game series. I think Houston's going to pull it out in 7. Yeah. That's weird for me to say, because I'm thinking, on one hand, I agree with what everybody's saying about Houston's players in the clutch, but I have them winning it in the most clutch of clutch games, Game 7. I don't know how it's going to happen. It might just be the home court advantage. It might be Chandler Parsons. It might not even be those other guys, but
it might be.
I got Houston in 7.
One thing I do want to say about this series, no matter who wins, rest in peace against those San Antonio. The Spurs are going to kill both these teams, no matter who makes
it. All right, so the last series that we have to talk about. Oh, that was the last series.
That's it.
That's all.
Keep going. All right, so that's our first round NBA playoff predictions. We'll actually be right back at you guys early next week with our NBA awards, because we want to get them out there before everybody else gets theirs out there, so we can say we did it.
Swaggy
first.
P for MVP, baby.
We can get our Ray J on, say we did it first. So so definitely look out for that.
He definitely wasn't first.
He was. I don't know what he was.
Like 31st.
Parting shots for the NBA playoffs, because it's finally here. This is what we've been waiting on all season. You guys excited?
Yo.
I think it's going to be great.
I'm finally gonna start watching basketball again. But.
I'm ecstatic. Yes, that last like month of the season is so hard.
Yeah, it's terrible. I think it's going to be one of the better playoffs that we've seen in a long time.
I think so too.
In the words of LeBron James, you know we got it.
Roll with us, because you know we got it.
Yo, my last word before we get out of here, Dev, is on the spot dice spin.
Yo.
And I'm Pat Sajak. What?
And then the little white girl was like, on the spot decision.
Yo, she stole like three. This dude, I don't understand, man. Because
Greatest video in the history of life.
If you look at the video and you look at every situation he was in, he was killing them on points. And then when he gets, you know what he is? He's a James Harden ass dude. When he gets to the clutch,
How we put it all together?
he was
Not about
killing
that
them.
prom night life.
He was
not
killing
ready
them
for
in the
prom
regular
night.
season. Playoffs started, he was like, on the spot dice spin. Like,
Prime night ended it quickly.
You think James Harden's
mythological
gonna have
hero, H-less.
So that's going to be the question of the playoffs. Will James Harden have an on-the-spot dice spin or not?
I just want to have a shout out to the young men out there, you know, getting ready for the proms and stuff like that. Don't be a James Harden on prom night. It'll ruin your career.
You've been waiting 4 years for this.
Until he proves otherwise, James Harden's new nickname is on-the-spot dice spin.
American pie ass dude.
Oh no! Don't pull a Jimmy Harden. Don't pull a Jimmy Harden.
He got a new nickname. All right, man. Like we always tell you guys, man, make sure when you watch the video, make sure you like the video, make sure you comment on the video. Give us your first round prediction. How many games will each of your winners win their series? Make sure you click that like button on the page so you can follow us and you know every time a new Court Vision drops. And you guys can come watch the video and talk to us in the comment section about your opinions. Before we go, of course, we got to let you know about the launch of the War Room Sports Podcast Network that just launched earlier this week. So go to WRSPN.com and check out some great podcasts, mostly on sports. Some aren't on sports. You know, some of y'all soft dudes, y'all like relationships. We're going to have shows on that too. So, you know, no more on the spot dice spins.
He's going to get him to the site by insulting him.
If you want to
call him James Harden.
You want to read some great articles, make sure you go to sports-kings.com. Check out everything that they're doing over there because they're killing it as well. Like we always tell you, people, don't accept mediocrity. Like people from Indiana University on Wheel of Fortune, and be steadfast in the war against ignorance.
We'll see you chumps on top.
Yo, no chaperones on prom night.
Kuwait is the war room with 5 nights at the round table. 5 Philly guys, diversified and educated.